This video is brought to you by Blue Guardian, the only prop firm that protects their traders.
We came up into this huge imbalance, this huge sell side or sell off. I guess you could call it sell side imbalance or whatever you want to call it. Just straight selling volume. No buying was offered in this region. We took buy side liquidity above that high. We can see we generated buy side liquidity, fell again, and then took it and then made the lower low. That's the sign of a real move. Now we can see that the last buying volume before we made that lower low is valid for shorts. So if you took that trade, congrats. I believe I discussed that earlier this week. But anyways, distribution, and then we've had a final rally to the upside, failed to generate that higher high within this bullish uptrend or pullback, and then we made the lower low. So anywhere between like maybe 636 and 6385 or whatever it is, looking for premium, right? Getting back up into premium price to look for shorts. Good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the pre-market analysis series here on the TRADINGNUT YouTube channel. So we had a lot of great movement this past week, especially with the FOMC data and the CPI news that came out on Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday with the USD. So a lot of great movement, a lot of volatility finally came into the markets. It is Q4, so expect some volatility towards the end of the year. Also with the whole Israel situation, another war broke out. Inflation is just continuing to rise, so expect a lot of volatility. So anyways, I'm going to be covering everything here discussed in red. Of course, I'm not going to be discussing the ones that are not highlighted just because I just don't see anything on them as of right now. And that's okay. We don't have to be trading every single pair every single day. Doesn't make a good trader. I have to be patient. And of course, our VIP will be updated with anything that we see and take throughout the week. So guys, if you are interested in learning how we do this every single solitary day and really resonate with the strategy that I'm about to go over, feel free to head over to my website, arielfxtrading.com, and just book a free call with me. It's free, 10-15 minute talk. We'd love to just chat with you about your trading journey, how we can best help you if we can to begin with. And if you think it's the right fit and we do as well, then we'd love to have you on board. And if not, no worries. I will still provide you with my trading plan absolutely for free that I use to take trades every day.
Our sponsor Blue Guardian is the only prop firm that gives their traders a tool to protect them from hitting their max daily loss and overtrading. It's super simple to use. Just set the Guardian Protector each day from your dashboard. Did you also know that they've just released an unlimited time evaluation with a 0 trading days requirement, giving you plenty of time to hit their low 8 and 4% targets, making it super fast to get funded. Plus, it's cheaper than the 40-day time limit evaluation. Check out the link and coupon in the description to get 10% off your next Blue Guardian evaluation.
So I'm going to first start off by talking about the US dollar. I'm going to blow this up a little bit here. And I'm going to go to the higher time frames. We'll start off with the daily time frame. And as we can see, we're clearly bullish. Dollar is insanely strong right now. And where can price likely come into before a potential reversal? Now, I don't mean that this is going to reverse. I'm just saying how much more room do we have to go to the upside before a potential reversal could come into play? And we can see right in here around 13253. This is the US dollar. This is not the DXY. They're pretty much the same thing, but I just prefer the US dollar. Anyways, we can see this huge imbalance. This was the last up thrust before the down move. This is really where the imbalance came into play. So we can clearly see we have more room, and I firmly really do expect some definite upside coming into the next week. We may even run this previous high next week, so expect some dollar strength. We have been bullish for quite some time. We can see that last week. We did have a bearish rally, and then this week we had that explosive bullish run, and that was just a continuation with the overall uptrend. That volatility injection was provided by that news. So of course, news is not random, news is pre-planned. So if you're trading news by itself and solely by itself, I would highly recommend you just stop what you're doing and do another hobby, right? This is not for you. This is no time to guess or gamble. If you want to do that, go to Vegas and blow your money there instead of in the market. It's a lot more fun that way. Anyways, definitely firmly expect some upside, have strong conviction for that. We have relatively equal lows, a lot of sell side liquidity. You can see we've just been in this trickle-like state. Now, when I say trickle, I don't mean big pullbacks and big waves. I mean just firm pushes the upside and just continuations with really no relief. That is a sign of a good trend. That is a sign of a trend. So we are definitely in a bullish market without a doubt. I would look for any pullback on XXX USD to look for continuations short or buying the dollar. So definitely looking for some upside, and we can use that when doing our analysis with some US dollar based pairs. So I'm going to first go over AUDJPY. A lot of people trade this. I personally don't. However, a lot of people do. So I'm going to go over that. And a little bit a piece of advice, guys, just because I'm going over all these pairs doesn't mean that I actually trade them myself. I do that just to cover everything I'm looking for, to give everyone who trades different pairs here, some insight as to what I would be possibly looking for, so that you guys can use that analysis and kind of follow along with it throughout the week and learn from it. Because not everyone trades the same pairs, and I'm sure that if we put 100 people in the room, we'd probably cover all these pairs, because over 100 people, I'm sure everyone trades 26 pairs in total combined. So that's why I go over everything, just to kind of give some diversity there. Anyways, AUDJPY, looking at the higher time frame, we can see we had a huge bearish run last week, and then we had a huge bearish run this week. So definitely consider looking for potential shorting opportunities. We do have some sell side liquidity here. We have this wick that can be filled. We can see that we did sweep a lot of buy side liquidity. We had that initial down thrust. We had a pullback, but we never really had any follow through to break this previous high, and instead we had 2 bearish weeks. Days. I'm on the daily time frame. Sorry, guys. Daily time frame. 2 bearish days. So I do expect sell side to be run, potentially this wick to be filled within the momentum that we're seeing in the market, coming back down into a lower time frame area of demand. This is around 91 or 91.3. If you scale into that level, you'll be able to see the clear area of demand, and that is exactly where the imbalance lies in here. Just straight buying volume would like to fill that completely, and that would be below that sell side liquidity wick there. Overall, we still are in an uptrend higher time frame. We can see that we did come into this swing point here. We swept equal lows, and that's really where the higher time frame expansionary move began. We can see we never generated a higher high. So could we make a lower low here? Possibly, right? Because we never made a higher high in the market, this is not considered the range. Why? Because we needed to make that higher high for this to be considered the low that made the new high for any significant pullback that could take place to continue. So what I mean by that is that because we never made a higher high, could we be in for a deeper retracement like this for potential expansions like that? That's definitely something. So this would just be a higher time frame retracement. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we have to keep that in the back of our mind when we're looking at higher time frame structure. Now, of course, I'm going to treat every single push to the downside as excuses to buy. So definitely, if we do run lower into this demand level, I will treat this as a potential higher high, higher low, higher high sequence. But if we do break, then that would probably mean that we'll likely come into 84.3. So this could be in for a big swing to the downside before any major pushback up to the upside. Because we could, like I said, we could be in for that overall retracement before going long, because we never made the higher high. However, I will still treat this as, okay, we broke counter trend. I'm looking for pullbacks for continuations all the way up. So let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame. And what we'll notice here is we had a strong bullish run. Now, these equal highs were swept, all these highs were swept, huge bullish run, and then we sold off. So this is tricky because a lot of traders would initially think, okay, this is a break of structure to the downside. I'm going to be looking to buy. Or pull back, to sell. Sorry, getting my words mixed up here. That is what a lot of traders would look to do, right? Break and retest. Now, in this situation, it would have ended up working out for them because we came into that level of supply, and I'll go over that when I scale in. But what I would have looked for is essentially, since we're in an uptrend, I would have seen this as more of a sell side liquidity run for continuations to the upside, because everyone and their mother is looking at this as the break of structure. So I didn't sell that there for the sole purpose of me looking to buy, but there was no opportunity to buy. I would needed to see that follow through to break the high and then the pullback to go long, because then that would have provided me with the sell side liquidity run needed, the higher high. So we have liquidity, manipulation, structure, and then we look for the pullback to get in. And that just goes with my trading plan. So just because maybe I didn't take a trade short here and someone else did, doesn't mean that they're a better trader than me. Or if, it went long and I pulled back and longed it and I took the trade and someone else didn't, doesn't make me a better trader than the other person. It just means that we have different trading plans and different ways of looking at the market, right? Just because someone doesn't make 1,000,000% a day doesn't mean they're, a bad trader, right? Maybe they're just more patient. So For me, I had this area in mind to say, okay, if we do get a reaction from this and we do break structure back to the downside, maybe see distribution and then we fall, then that would give me the conviction that, okay, maybe this is a break of structure, pullback, failure to generate a higher high, and then potentially see a lower low to fill this wick here, and then also come back down into an area of interest that we haven't come into yet, right? So I'm playing with the probabilities. You guys understand that I'm not trying to be 100% precise with everything, and I have to know exactly where it's going. And if I don't, I'm not a good trader. That's not the case whatsoever. What makes a good trader is taking trades, losing, and then understanding where the market's going after that, and then waiting and being patient for another setup, understanding that the market, you have to adapt to what the market tells you to, right? So in this situation, even though I was looking for potential buys, I marked this level off based upon the fact that we could have swept equal highs, taken buy-side liquidity, fell, made that lower low. Could we react off that, distribute, and then go short? Sure. So I pre-planned this so that, okay, if it happens, then I can take proper action if another setup comes around for my sell side setup. In this case, my buy setup never worked, right? I never got my confluences. I marked this off and ended up distributing and ended up reacting very heavily. So I would be looking for pullbacks within this huge imbalance come next week potentially for continuations to short. Now my bias has flipped. I'm adapting to what the market is telling me and not trading what I want to see. I wanted to see longs to continue, right? But overall, we didn't get that. We ended up shorting off. So sorry for the long spiel. I wanted to just show you guys that you don't have to win every trade. You just need to be able to adapt to what the market's telling you and be patient for a new setup, even if you lose. Right? We don't need to be jumping into a new trade to try to make that money back. You will end up blowing your account, I promise you. Those of you who have been trading for over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and not seeing success, are you doing that? Are you getting into trades after you lose to try to make that money back? Are you not being patient enough? If the answer is yes, that could be a big reason as to why you're still not consistent, right? So these little tweaks and understanding that you will lose. I lose, the best trader in the world loses. That's just how it works, right? Adaptation, probability, trading plan, refining, we keep going, right? So it was originally long, now it's a short bias. Fine, if it goes long, then I would classify this as, okay, we sold off, swept sell side liquidity, had a reaction, failed to make the lower low higher high. Now I would see this as a huge expansionary move to fulfill the higher high, higher low, higher high situation. Then I'd look to pull back into what would be the new area of demand in here for continuations long. And that's how we can adapt to what the market's telling us, even if we were to lose a potential trade. So anyways, sorry for that spiel. I'm looking for overall shorts. AUDUSD, same sort of deal. Dollar is still very strong. If I zoom out, we can clearly see that. Guys, it doesn't have to be hard, right? All you have to do, when in doubt, zoom out, right? Where is price going, right? Because we could be in this huge trickle-like push, and people who have tunnel vision can just zoom into this and be like, oh, we're bullish, we're bullish, we're bullish. Oh, why are we selling off? Why are we selling off? Well, we have to keep buying the dip, buying the dip. No, you're going to keep getting screwed because you don't understand the higher time frame structure and what it's telling you, right? We're still extremely bearish. Higher time frame. We're making lower lows and lower highs. So I would definitely be looking for shorts in my opinion, especially because of what we just went over on the dollar. So anyways, we came up into this huge imbalance, this huge sell side or sell off. I guess you could call it sell side imbalance or whatever you want to call it. Just straight selling volume. No buying was offered in this region. We took buy side liquidity above that high. We can see we generated buy side liquidity, fell again, and then took it and then made the lower low. That's the sign of a real move. Now we can see that the last buying volume before we made that lower low is valid for shorts. So if you took that trade, congrats. I believe I discussed that earlier this week. But anyways, distribution, and then we've had a final rally to the upside, failed to generate that higher high within this bullish uptrend or pullback, and then we made the lower low. So anywhere between like maybe 636 and 6385 or whatever it is, looking for premium, right? Getting back up into premium price to look for shorts. So that's what I would like to see on AUDUSD.
All right, folks, I'm here at Black Bull Markets headquarters in Auckland, New Zealand. You can see this amazing view behind me of Auckland Harbour. Now, talking about views, if you do want to get free TradingView Pro, then all you need to do is trade one lot a month at Black Bull Markets, and they're going to give you free TradingView Pro. So, folks, to find out more, click the link in the description below or the card above.
CAD Swiss franc. So have a couple of things to talk about here. I'm going to look at the daily time frame first. We do have buy side liquidity, but we are in a big downtrend. So I'm not looking at this from a, oh, I have to buy it because there's buy side. It'll take buy side liquidity when we go bullish again. If that means now, or if that means we have to wait and then it finally goes. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean it's going to take it now. We have to just be patient. If we're looking for buys, if we were in a buyer's market, then that would be good confluence for continuations long, because we would have that buy side liquidity to run, because liquidity is run in momentum. All right, just like we have buy side here, but we never took it, right? We came into supply, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, into that last buying volume, and we shorted off. All right, just trade with the structure. So what we have here is a big accumulation. So could this be the end to the downtrend and we go long? Potentially. We have buy side liquidity, or could we make a lower low? Yes, we could make a lower low. However, we do have accumulation. So where, if price is going to go long, where would price likely to come into? Well, just look at where the last selling volume was before the structure was broken. All right, this is where the accumulation started. This is where we broke the structure here, counter trend. We failed to generate a lower low below that low. We stopped and then we rose. So in here around 654, or around 6,550, that psychological level would be nice. We haven't reached that yet, so the current lower time frame trend would still be good for some intraday short setups into that level. Now we can scale into that and then see the current structure. And it's not very pretty. We're just sort of trickling right now, making lower lows, lower highs. We can see that this is an area of supply. We have that 1 hour 50 EMA approaching. So this could be, a nice intraday setup for continuations into that level. Now I'm not going to say I'm going to buy it from there, right? But if we were to go long, I think we still need to come lower first before going long, right? That's all I'm saying. So looking for that region for continuation. Short potentially come next week. All right, Euro AUD. So Euro AUD, we're going to go to the 4 hour time frame, and it's interesting because we are relatively higher time frame bearish, but we're short-term bullish, and we're kind of stuck in the middle between two levels, between demand and supply. So in that case, we could potentially be looking to hedge. And we can see that overall, we still are bullish. Disregard this level down here. This does not mean that I have to look for buys down here. Just because you see a line doesn't mean just sell it or buy into it. I mean, we can't be stupid. This is just if it comes down into that level, that's where a huge accumulation schematic occurred. You can just see that was a huge one. And then we made the higher high. So that would be a great level to buy if price does dip back down into that. Now we could, right? Could this be in for overall pullbacks into that level before going long to fulfill this higher time frame structure? Sure, we could. This could be sell side liquidity. We run it and then go long. Oftentimes that's what happens. You create, if this is, let's say that's a demand, you create a low, you make a high, you come back down, sweep that low into the demand and then go long. All right, that is what we call, obviously sell side liquidity run, but then what we also call the box, the type 2 manipulation theory. Buy to sell to buy, and then which would naturally create a demand here, and then we look to pull back and buy that. This can be seen on any time frame. I know we're on the 4 hour. I know this setup could take months to occur, but you can see this on every single time frame. The same principles apply, right? You could see it on the 15-minute, more of an intraday type of setup, right? London, New York type of setup on a random Wednesday. We could see a lower time frame, buy to sell to buy in the current direction, right? And buy to sell to buy, and then we pull back into demand and we take it long, right? It's just type 2 manipulation. It's what we teach in our mentorship. Very easy. But anyways, we can see that in here. I'm gonna go to the 1 hour. We're currently bearish. We've been bearish since mid-August. So I do want to continue to look for shorts. However, understanding that we're still bullish, this is a high, this is a low, this is a high, this is actually a higher low. So could we actually respect this structure and continue long? Yeah, we could, right? We could respect the structure going long, or we could respect the current structure going short into potentially our higher time frame level, which would be that huge expansion, pullback, expansion, pullback, expansion, right? So we have to look at every single time frame and make educated decisions. So what we can see here, let's just look at it from the sell side perspective. Well, we have a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. Actually, let me just zoom out here. Let me show you what's going on. So buy side liquidity was run. These wicks, buy side was taken, we made the lower low. Within this expansionary move, we had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches of this retail trend line. We broke out of the trend line, we retested the trend line, retail tries to buy. Oh, what happens? It shorts off. That's a great buy to sell. It's a great area of supply. We ended up chopping around. We ended up taking sell side liquidity. We ended up rising, generating buy side liquidity. And then we took sell side prematurely. Well, not prematurely. We took sell side. So likely if we come up into this level, if we were to go short, people who shorted off here with the break of structure got in prematurely. That's what I meant to say. So anyways, just generating liquidity on either side of the market, we can see that it takes it here and then it's going to take it here. That's internal liquidity, buy and sell, right? Within an overall expansion. Just like we see here, internal liquidity, we have buy and sell. So we take sell before we go buy, and then we could potentially short. So not to try to confuse you guys, go back and rewatch that because it is very valuable stuff. I know I talk fast, but just bear with me here. So that is the level in which we could be looking to potentially buy into, but at the same time look to short from. So currently we're lower time frame bullish. So we can see that's the last selling volume after the sell side liquidity run. We had that sell to buy reprice continue. We came back down, swept that low, came into that demand further, right? And then we rose and made the higher high. Where is the last selling volume? Here. Well, simple, right there, around 6,550. So we could look to pull back and buy it into that, but we could also look to short from that higher time frame level. Or what you could do is simply just buy it and sell it, whether it comes into here first, sells off, goes long, whatever, you could look to hedge. So if it goes long from that level, great, you lost on the sells, you won on the buys, I'm sure your risk to reward would be good enough to where it would outbeat the loss. And same thing, you could short off from that level, go short, you could lose on the buys and win on the sells, and your sells could outbeat the loss of the buys, so you'd still be net profit. So that's a good way of hedging if you're trading within a range or you're not sure exactly where the market is going to go. So that is Euro AUD. Euro USD, same sort of deal. We're bearish, right? Lower low, lower high into that supply, into that imbalance. Lower low, lower high. So I guess what you can consider here within the structure, boom, 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 boom. We can see that that's the last buying volume. Came up into that level, had the reaction, never had the follow through. We ended up pulling back further, having one of expansion, pullback expansion type of move. So a higher time frame move there, in which case this would be the last buying volume. If this is the structure, buy side liquidity was run, we bought it, or excuse me, well, the market went long to take buy side into that level of supply, right? Into that level of supply here, and then we broke the structure back to the downside. So we are looking for overall shorts anywhere between maybe 1.0560, 1.0580, could come a little bit higher, maybe into 1.6, something like that. But if I go to the daily, we can see that 0580 is that daily imbalance. So something like that we could see overall looking for continuation short upon any type of pullback. So dollar strength is what I'm looking for. EURCAD. So on the higher time frame, EURCAD did sweep a lot of sell side liquidity. We can see all of these lows were swept. And then right when we swept those lows, we had a reaction. Now, not to say that this is going to be like a sell to buy, reprice, continue. This could just be some relief, meaning a lot of liquidity was run. Naturally, you'd get relief in the market due to profit taking, right? Because when liquidity is swept, hits stop losses, then that gives volume on the other side of the market. That way we have a natural pullback. Could this just be in for continuations? Possibly. However, we are in an uptrend. We have equal highs. We can see we ran sell side. Let me just zoom into this. So my first initial thought is going to be this potential area for longs, this demand, right? Because when we swept it, we had a reaction, we repriced, we failed to create a lower low within this overall counter trend structure, and we went long. So that will be that area of demand where we could be looking for higher highs. Now we can see a skewed potential head and shoulders that it could fake out from and go long. So that's another, more conviction to potentially go long. Retail is likely shorting below the neckline, that breakout. But what would make this more probable? Because like I said before, could this just be a sell to buy and then we just continue? Because this could have just been profit taking and not an actual real move, and we just continue with the overall trend. Sure, what'll be more conservative is to see the reaction from the level, see the fact that it would fail to generate a lower low, meaning below this low, and then make a higher high. At that point, then we know we're bullish, and then we can be looking for pullbacks to long. If you're more conservative, you would look for that. If you're maybe a little more aggressive in your trading, maybe that level of demand could suffice. So that's EUROCAD. GBPCAD, same sort of deal here. When I go to the daily, we can see currently with structure, we have a higher high, we have a higher low. This is a higher high. This is one expansionary move, right? That's one expansionary move. We saw this huge push to the downside, overall pullback. And what we'll notice is that where did the pullback, this pullback end? Well, that was the last selling volume in there before we broke, right? So that, and we had huge imbalance as well, just straight buying volume in there. So we came exactly into that level. I'll just zoom in. And we did the exact same thing as EUROCAD. We came into that zone, we pushed up, we failed to make the lower low, and then we made higher highs. So we actually have equal highs as of right now. So that's buy side liquidity. So could we just be seeing an overall retracement into that last selling volume, AKA that demand, for us to consider longs? Definitely. And again, if you're a more conservative trader, you can wait for the actual, failure to make the lower low, maybe into that demand, higher high, and then look to pull back and buy on the third drive, right? Because that's 1, 2, 3. All right, so that is GBPCAD. A couple more, GBPAUD. Let's go to the 4-hour first, give you an overview. So what we could be seeing here, and this is very interesting. I would probably assume that right here, high, low, high, low, high, low. We still are technically bullish, right? We never took out this low. That is still a higher low. We could easily make a higher high now. However, we have unmitigated levels of demand down in here. And what's interesting about this region, all right, and this is why I like these levels, is because we had a high, we had a low, we had a high. I know we had a higher low and a higher high. However, we have equal lows in here. These are perfectly equal lows if you scale in. If you scale in, perfectly equal lows, unmitigated demand. We can see that repricing, that doji candle there. Then we created this retail trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches, and then we broke. Retail is shorting below the breakout. We actually retested this trend line perfectly. Retail was shorting again, and then we made a move to the upside. So this was all manipulation to get retail to go short prematurely before going long, right? So take all the stops, get retail to go short, and then we take the market long. So now, when we make the higher high, where could we be looking for pullbacks to get in, to go long? Well, where was the structure broken? Well, we have an area of demand here and a demand here. We had a couple levels. We actually had 3. We had one there, and one there, right? These are all sell side, or well, I should say sell side demand or selling volume, selling pressure that failed to make any sort of lower low. And then we made the higher high above that level. So once we cleared that high, now I was looking for pullbacks either from that level, or that level, and I just placed 3 buy limits. Guess what? First one hit, didn't even have to worry about the second or the third. If that one lost and that one won, great. I would have made money and I would have taken care of that loss. If I had lost here, and then won here, the risk to reward on that would have easily taken care of both those losses, and I would have been a net profit no matter what. Because the probability of me going, or of the market going long, is higher than the probability of it going short. When we know probabilities and risk to reward, that is why traders become okay with losing, because they're not going to win every day, and they will be net profit over time. They will be long-term profitable. Those who look for short-term profitability are the ones who are probably still living with their mother, right? Because they will never learn, and they will always continue to blow accounts forever, right? You have to be able to get out of the retail mindset and into the professional mindset. And if you can't do that, then this is probably not the right business for you. Anyways, we never made the lower low. Okay, could we come back down into those levels? Sure. What is going on in here? What does this look like to you? You probably can't easily see it. I can see it from a mile away just because I've seen this for the past 6-7 years. Head and shoulders, potential head and shoulders. Where could we come back up? Potentially up into here. Why is this interesting? Not only is it the left shoulder, but it's also a reaction off that high. We can see the reaction off the low imbalance. And here, could we come back up into that same region of price, this highly sensitive region, into that imbalance and go short? Sell off below these lows here, come into these levels and go long. Fake out of the head and shoulder neckline. Retail goes short. It's just on a higher time frame, guys. It's just on a higher time frame scale. We can see a head and shoulders on the 1 second time frame or on the daily time frame. Everything happens on every single time frame, which is why when people ask me what time frame do you trade, I just ignore them because it's a ridiculous question. Price is fractal. I look at every time frame. I trade every time frame, just depending on different factors, right? So 4 hour, we can see that right in here. This is the last buying volume, huge imbalance right in here, just a straight sell-off. That's where we could come back up into. And notice if I extend this out, it's exactly where that left shoulder aligns and where we kind of took that high, retested it. So it's almost like resistance, support, could turn into resistance. Highly sensitive region, around maybe 1.94. That's a psychological level. We're building confluence there. So I'm not saying to sell it there. That's not a good short in my opinion. Not a highly probable short. What I'm saying is we could see a reaction from that level. We sell off into these lows, fake out of the head and shoulders and go long. Or we just continue with the buys. High, low, higher, high. So clearly we're bullish. I'm looking for longs, right? We stopped in here, low, and we broke. Higher high, and then we failed to make the lower low. We made higher low, and then a higher high. So 1, 2, we could be looking for that third drive. And we can just be continuing, right? So I'm gonna be looking for buys first, but if we break, I'll be looking for buys down here for the overall setup. We can see how we're putting together this from a higher time frame perspective and scaling in for potential lower time frame opportunities. That's why top-down analysis is so important, right? So we have our area, right? You can see in here that this is the last buying volume, and we sold off. We should have pulled back. We should have reacted off that supply and went short, just like we reacted from this supply and we went short here. It's just following structure. Low, high, low, high, low, high. Oh, we failed. We stopped and we made a higher high. Okay, now this becomes demand now. That's why we stop here, create sell side, take buy side. This is a huge buy to sell to buys type 2 manipulation, just like we talked about before. We sold off into that sell side liquidity just to mitigate the demand level right there with that doji. We made a higher high. Where's the end of this pullback? Well, low, high, failed, higher high. That's the new selling volume. That's where I'm going to be looking to buy. It's very, very simple when you just follow the plan. And when your plan is not met, why are you trading? Seriously, guys. Right? It's not difficult if you're just patient. Okay? Now, I don't mean to come across as rude, but some people just need to hear it. Stop being dumb. Follow your plan. And if you can't follow your plan, don't trade. Just continue to do what you do with your 9-to-5 job. I promise, just stop losing money. If you're emotional, don't trade. Just don't. This industry is not meant for everyone. All right? You have to be strong. Okay? And you have to follow your plan. So definitely looking for longs from that level, right? If we get it, great. Phenomenal. 4-hour 50 EMA, confluence as well. If it actually comes up into that level, heck, it doesn't even have to. It could come up into that level, whatever, or it could just short off right now. Regardless, this looks like a potential head and shoulders, potential fake out into the levels we were already interested in before. So regardless of what happens, I would still be looking to buy down here as well if we actually broke. So that's just from a higher time frame perspective, and that's short term. All right. So anyways, that's GBPAUD. GBPUSD, same sort of deal, right? We're extremely bearish. Extremely bearish. What we'll notice here is that if we were, right? Keyword if we were to continue long, high, low, high, this could be a potential low for another higher high, right? We're just in this pullback phase, higher time frame that started in this middle of July of this year. So where could we pull back into? Well, where's the last selling volume? Well, Let's scale into the pullback before we broke. Oh, this is the last selling volume, but that's sort of a vague area. This is a huge area. Can we narrow that down? Well, we sold off, equal lows, sell to buy. We actually took that low as well. We reprice right there. Huge imbalance, that's a little repricing. So that area of demand maybe around 1.9, 1.950, maybe 1.2. So we haven't reached that level yet. We haven't reached 1.2, which I think we will. So definitely continuing to short off. And I called out this region this past week. I said we had this area of supply to look out for. We have 1, 2, 3 touches perfect for retail to go short because they're stupid, right? They just play off of stupid trend lines when they don't know in the world they're doing. And it's just hilarious to watch. But anyways, price pushes up, entices them to buy, also takes their stops when they shorted, and then we short off again and takes their stops that way. And now they're running and crying to their mother because they lost all their money. So we come up into that supply level, right? We distributed just like we did with AU, just like we did with EU, like we talked about. And we had a huge move. This was, okay, so the CPI was Thursday. So this was CPI, 8 o'clock in the morning. News was used as the excuse to drive price in the direction it was always meant to go. I'm going to say that again. In the direction it was always meant to go. Now, I'm not saying that the direction it was always meant to go, that's where news is going. Obviously, news could have been here, for instance, and the excuse would to be take buy-side liquidity, come into that level, mitigate it, and go short. Right? It's not always, oh, we're bearish. Oh, it's just news is going to come out. We got to just sell it. No, we have to look at what's going on in the market. Where is the liquidity first? Well, we've already taken liquidity. We've already come up into that supply level. We've already done what we needed to do. News came out. All that there was left to do is short off. Boom. That's why it did it. So stop placing buy stops and sell stops everywhere. You're just going to blow your account. Don't be stupid. It's just ridiculous, right? So now we know where we're going, right? We have a lot of sell side, not just here and here, but obviously on the higher time frame, like I talked about down in here, that's where we're likely to go. That's the next objective. Lower low, lower high, likely lower low. So now we can look for continued shorts. So short term, we have what we created today, which was that supply. So could we pull back up into that level and go short? Sure, we could. Could we sweep last week's high, which was, well, not last week's high in this case, because we're not going to come above that high likely, but we could sweep Friday's high, right? Sweep the liquidity, buy side liquidity into the huge imbalance. And it just depends on how far it wants to pull back if it does, right? Maybe you're like 1.2250, that's a psychological level, 1.23, maybe into that last buying volume, something like that, just into premium price to short off. So I give you all three of these regions because how am I supposed to know which one is it going to react from? My guess is if it's going to go short overall, we could see something like this, so it could react off that level first, maybe sweep it, actually have the overall pullback and go short. So these are the more highly probable regions if you're patient. However, could we just simply react here and just continue to die? Yeah, it just depends on what the market wants to do. So I have multiple levels. So that's GU. Last one, AUDNZD. So with AUDNZD, I talked about this level over the past couple of months. Actually, I've been talking about AUDNZD for years now, and I've pretty much been right on every single level. I just love AUDNZD. It's a very, very slow moving pair. However, I just love it. I love how it waves. Anyways, just a quick breakdown, because I haven't talked about this in a little bit, even though you guys should already know. AUDNZD, this is from the higher time frame. This is back in 2015, about 8 years ago, over 8 years ago, actually. That low was taken out. All this liquidity, sell side, especially in here, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, and we broke it. We took the sell side liquidity. We actually ended up taking with this wick that low as well. So attracting retail shorts, guess what we did here? We broke and retested to the T this trend line. If I just extend it over, retail again was shorting. Nope, right back up to the upside. We take their stops. That creates the demand. So now we've broken the counter trend. We're bullish now, okay? So now we pull back into that level, into that demand, which we did Thursday, the 16th, well, actually initially, end of August, so September 2021, we created the demand in March of 2020, and we came down a year and a half later and finally mitigated it. The same principles apply on every single time frame. Structure applies on every time frame. sell side liquidity, buy side liquidity. In this case, sell side. So we generate sell side and we sweep it and then go long, right? Happens on every single time frame. Supply and demand happens on every single time frame. Markets are fractal. That's just how it works. So we come into that level, we mitigate. Let's go all the way back. Actually, I'm gonna go to the 4 hour time frame. So we ended up accumulating down in here. We expanded. We ended up stopping, failing to generate the lower low below this low, and then we made the higher high. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly where this is going, even though I knew where it was going before. So anyways, we came into that accumulation, came into the selling volume, mitigated it, reacted, again, failed to generate a lower low, made a higher high. So that was the last selling volume in here. 1.05 to the T, essentially. So that's the last selling volume within this, because we counter trend, we finally made the higher high. That was the last selling volume there. So higher high, higher low, we came into that level beautifully. But what happened prior to that? Why did we just stop? Why didn't we come into here first? Why did we just chop around? Well, just to create buy side liquidity and sell side. We sweep buy side, attract buyers, come back down, take their stops. Attract sellers below the support, push up, take their stops. What is this? Buy to sell to buy, type 2 manipulation, and it's also the mitigation of that level. So what did we do? Well, before we made the higher high, low, high, low, high, low, high, failed, higher high, and also this level of repricing right there. So really, that's why I have this all drawn out right there. And then obviously this last selling volume. So right there, that's the demand. So lower time frame, this is where we just scale in, right? Right. So overall, we've broken this high now. We're looking for pullbacks into that level to go long. Well, we never came back down into that initially. We finally did here, kind of, just sweep all this sell side liquidity. But what did we do prior to coming into that zone? Well, we generated more liquidity. And what's interesting about that is that box theory I told you about, right? Sell, kind of sell off. So took sell side, took buy side, then we took sell side, and then we took buy side again. So this is more of like we don't really have a term for this, but sometimes it happens to where we take sell side, fail to come into that, take buy side, and then finally run into it, take sell, and then go, right? Either way, I don't care if it were to do this. I don't care if it were to do, if that's the support, that's the resistance. I don't care if it were to do this, 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 and make like a microphone pattern. Why? Because this hasn't been met yet. So when it finally is met, and then it breaks structure to the upside, now I know we're probably not going to come back down below that low anymore. Now I can be confident in the fact that we'll likely go like that now, instead of make another low. So that's exactly what happens here. We generate more liquidity, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. We have that reaction. We sell off into that zone. And I said, and if you go back and watch for VIP, all my daily market breakdown videos, if you watch, I think I may have talked about it in the pre-market as well, months ago. But if you recall, I said this could easily be the trade of the year, and I could easily be correct, right? Because just putting all the confluences together and everything sort of lined up perfectly. So anyways, we broke sell side. We actually retested, so retail again went short, and then of course price went long. And what is this? This was Tuesday, May 23rd of this year. This is an Asian session I can see around 10 o'clock at night. That must have been some sort of Aussie or New Zealand dollar news, and that's what created the huge push to the upside. And guess what? Why didn't we go short? Why wasn't there a huge sell bar here? Because we already came into the demand, so why would there be a need to sell off any further? There's no logical explanation but to go long. That's why the news was used as the excuse to inject volatility to go long. News is not random. So anyways, there was no counter trend really. I mean, this is the counter trend, low, high, low, but there was no like reaction off that supply, fail, and then go long to create the demand. We actually just busted right through it. So that's just imbalance. So what we call inside demand. We just take a look at the previous supply and extend that out, because that's where we could come back down and retest, and that's exactly in that region of imbalance. So I say all that to say this. We finally came back down. We took sell side, buy side, sell side, finally into that higher time frame level that played off of this higher time frame level, that played off of this higher time frame level, that played off of this higher time frame level, that swept liquidity back in 2015, right? Everything is put together perfectly. So anyways, we scale into that. What do we do here? Well, we create more buy side liquidity. Equal highs, never ran it. Sell side in here, we run it short. We finally came back down into that level. And what are we starting to do? Well, we are starting to potentially accumulate into that level. So I will be looking for buys. We have equal highs in here. I'm gonna extend that over. So that's a good possible target if you were already long. Well, we have higher time frame equal highs. We have this supply zone up in here, which doesn't really matter, but yeah, I wouldn't even talk about that. But anyway, higher time frame, high, low, higher low, potentially a higher high into that supply. But really, since we're overall bullish, I'd be expecting a higher high. So hopefully you guys understood that. If you didn't, go back and watch that because it is very valuable information. I will be looking for longs here on AUDNZD. We can even look at the potential VFI, so the volume flow indicator, and see that, well, there's really not much imbalance, or excuse me, divergence, because volume is falling, price is rising, volume is rising. So that's fine. We don't need divergence for a setup, but it's nice to have. But anyways, we can see that that was all along the area of interest. We were just patient. Didn't come back down into it initially, so we can't get, our panties in a wad and look to prematurely buy this, because guess what happened? It just came back down. You would have lost anyways if you would have bought it. We ran sell side. We were patient. We let it come to fruition, and now we'll be looking for potential longs, accumulation to go long. So anyways, sorry guys, I know I talk fast, but just go back and rewatch it. Mark this stuff off. Just follow along. Even if you don't take the trade, even if you don't trade and you just want to see it play out or not play out or whatever, it's always a good learning experience. And of course, I don't mean anything personally. I'm a very vocal person and a very, very strict person when it comes to teaching and having people understand what needs to be understood about the market, because not always is it rainbows and ponies. That's not how you learn, right? You learn through difficult times and failure, and learning what the real information is in the market. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. Be happy to help in any way possible. Have a great weekend, and let's have a great trading week ahead. Take care.
Tired of missing trades or spending hours at the charts? Introducing my Robot Builders Club. With our platform, you can build bots in minutes, not weeks, without any coding required. Get lifetime access to my video course, VIP community, and over 40 ready-made robots. Works with MT4 or MT5, and as a bonus, you'll get 3 months access to my robot lab, where we build and test bots on live calls every week. Join the hundreds of traders who are trading smarter, not harder. Click the link in the description to learn more, get the free training, and download a free robot.